When I play up game and then talk, I'm trying, Jennifer.
Rip City, what's going on? This is another episode of the Unbiased Trailblazers podcast, and it's going to be a strange one, I have a feeling. And it's probably going to be a pretty short one once again. I'm Alex. I got Fawad here with me. How you doing tonight, Fawad?
Hey, I'm good. I have been very busy lately, but I'm excited to talk basketball, even though I haven't watched much basketball.
Well, you're not missing out on much because we're going to just hop right into it. Preseason basketball. Yes, it's preseason basketball, but damn has it sucked. It has been... Ugh. That's the sound I make every time I watch. Right now, as we are recording, we are playing against the Warriors right now, and all of the Warriors bench players, I think Wiseman's the only one that's of notable. I guess DiVincenzo is playing too. We're down by 17, and it's not even halftime yet. We got most of our starters besides Damon. So, if that tells you anything, if you've not been watching preseason basketball, another thing, Root Sports, if you're listening, you guys suck.
I'm sure they are.
Suck so bad. We're so tired of having to pirate the seas to watch basketball. It's just mind-blowing that I mean, that's an issue in and of itself right there, is Root Sports alienating any fan of being able to watch Blazer basketball. But you guys didn't come here to listen to us complain about Root Sports, because I'm sure you guys complain about it constantly as well. So, preseason basketball, from what little you have seen, Fawad, how you feel? How you feeling?
I'm not encouraged, that's for sure. There's been very few positives, if any, and the season is just about a week away. So we have a lot to figure out, not a lot of time to do it, and once again, our opening schedule is not kind, so we won't have really any time to figure it out. Those losses are going to start adding up if we keep playing like how we've been playing.
Yeah, I think we can kind of agree on this. I think the one bright spot we have is Jeremy Grant. He's everything we expected and more. He looks like he's going to be a great fit for us. Every game, he's consistently the most consistent and best player, I feel like, every game, defensively and offensively. We are, as of right now, 0-3, I guess we're 0-3
We won
against
that one.
NBA teams.
Yeah,
We're 1-4 with a throw-in of I believe I said Italy. It's not Italy, it's Israel. I have no idea why I had Italy in my head for the last week and a half. But a B team for Israel. We handled them quite easily. But we all know that wasn't really a true competition, I would say. I mean, they're still, good basketball players, but nowhere near NBA talent. But we're 0-3, and the way this game's looking, it looks like we might be 0-4 in the preseason. This is the last preseason game. We have Fan Fest coming up pretty soon. But like I said, the one bright spot I think we can agree on is Jeremy Grant has looked very good for us, and I'm excited to see what he can bring the rest of the season. But you said it best. There's not been very many bright spots to talk about. There's not been much to get excited about. Nurk has looked very, I don't know, has he looked out of shape to you? A lot of people are saying he looks out of shape. Nurk just got
I saw a
elbow dropped in the face right there.
I saw a couple people say that, but I didn't feel that way. He seemed, same old Nurk to me. He shouldn't have any reason to be.
Felt.
Shouldn't have any reason to be out of shape considering the FIBA tournament. So
yeah, we're gonna get into Nurk here in just a little bit as he gets clobbered across the face with an elbow from Wiseman. But first, before we even get into this, I just remembered this. I want to give a shout out to Chris Burkhart of the Trailcasters. For two things. First and foremost, he just welcomed a new baby girl into his life. him and his wife's life and his 2 kids. So shout out to you, Chris, for your addition to your family. But I also want to shout out, if you guys have not heard yet, Chris is on Rip City Radio. He's a fill-in co-host, I believe. He's I believe a producer of some kind. So he was on his first show last night for every Monday night is Courtside. Oh man, what's it called? Courtside Monday, I think it's what it's called.
It
On
was
Rip City
Rip City
Radio.
Drive, wasn't it? Or is that
Yeah,
like
Rip
the
City
station?
Drive. Rip
Oh,
City
okay.
Drive is the station, and then
Okay.
it's on Rip City Radio, and it's at 6 o'clock Pacific time, and I believe it is called Courtside Mondays. And at 6 o'clock every Monday, he's gonna have his little show there. He had Jamie Hudson on last night. It was a good listen. We got to listen to Jamie Hudson and them talk a little bit. So shout out to Chris, double time. But now let's get to the pressing matters here.
Let me just thank him myself
for it.
too. Yeah, Keith and Chris both have been so kind to us, but like I really appreciate Chris shouting us out. That's that's just amazing. I wasn't able to listen to it, unfortunately. I've had a little bit of a family emergency lately, but I will try to listen in either next week or the one after. Definitely not next week. The one after, I'll try to listen and try to be as regular as possible, assuming I can even listen to it from Toronto. But yeah, Chris is like he's so nice. He's always kind to us. He's helpful, and he's helped us grow too. The Trailcasters themselves have been a huge help to us. So we appreciate everything, and especially the shout out. So just once again, thank you, Chris.
Yes, both you and Keith. We love you both. Sorry, I just got fired up. Nurk got elbowed in the face, so my was for him getting elbowed. But let's talk some Blazer basketball here real quick. The hot take right now going around Blazers fandom, it seems, is that Nurkic is how do I put this nicely? Not the man for the job. That his foul issues are still a problem. He seems like he's not interested, and maybe he's not because it's preseason. Oh my goodness, they are going to town on Nurkic right now. They've complained about his finishing, which we've complained about at the rim. And here's what I want to say. Nurkic is an above. I would say he's at least an average defender, but I would say as far as rim defending, I would say he's an above average rim defender. The problem is, and I tweeted about this with someone. I can't quite remember who it was, but our lack of defense from the guard position puts Nurkic in such terrible positions. And this is all my opinion. So if you have a different opinion, Fawad, please feel free to fill in. Or if anyone else disagrees, let me know. The lack of defense from Lillard, from Ant, puts Nurk in such bad positions, whether he's having to switch out and guard a small guard, a quick guard, or he's trying to recover back to his man who's getting, the secondary pass to, and just an easy dunk, and he's fouling. I don't put all the blame on Nurk for his foul issues. There have definitely been games where you can tell he gets frustrated and he commits stupid fouls, and that's an issue on itself. But I think majority of the time he's exhausted from pretty much being the one-man defensive show, in the past years, and being relied to stop pretty much everything that comes anywhere near the paint. I don't blame him for all the fouls he gets into. There are times, like I said, that he does, but I don't think that Nurkic isn't the man for the job. I think as a team we have to play better defense. And I wanted to point this out. In our last podcast, I said I was encouraged by the defense I've seen. Nope, not anymore. I've changed my mind. I've watched more games. That was just one game. The highlights of the highlights that I saw of that game, I was like, yeah, this looks promising. Nope. That was definitely a one hit wonder, it seems like, because it has been terrible defense once again. And Jeremy Grant, and things may change as the season goes on, but it's been ugly. It's been ugly. And it's not Nurk's fault. It's not Jeremy Grant's fault. It's just a team issue. It's our philosophy, and we'll kind of get into this maybe in a little bit. But just Nurkic wise, Fawad, how do you feel? Do you feel like he's the man for the job? Do you feel like his foul issues are a problem? Go for it.
Yeah, I think overall I agree with most of what you said. I just feel like okay, so what I agree with is I I do agree that Nurk or no, sorry. I do agree that Nurk is not the man for the job. I know that was confusing. I hope you understood what I meant. Um, and then I agree that, our guards do put him in somewhat of a difficult position, but I think his fouling does concern me a little bit, more than you at least, because I think, I'm not even too concerned about his fouls on defense. I think they're very rarely, um, very like you said, that most of them are not his fault. Sometimes they are his fault from frustration fouls, but I think those are, relatively rare. What is annoying is on offense, those are consistent and they have not shown any sign of going
Yes.
away. Whether it's just running someone over in the post or illegal screens, you know, one way or another, he finds himself racking up offensive fouls, more quickly than defensive fouls, in my opinion, or at least worse fouls on offense than on defense. So that's the part that's annoying me. And in the preseason games that I've seen, like I said, that continued. And when I'm looking at the numbers even today, a few minutes ago he had 4 fouls. I don't know if that has changed.
He's at 5 now. As you were
Okay.
talking, he got his 5th with an offensive charge.
Oh, just look, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Those charges. He's a big guy, so I know like to some extent he can't help himself, but I think he can help himself a little bit more than what we have seen so far. So, that has not gone away in what 2-3 years now, and that's the part that's really frustrating me. I don't think that's gonna change either. I've kind of given up on that. I was hoping, if that did change, this would have been the year since he had FIBA to prepare. Um, but that said, I don't think that makes him that doesn't mean that we need to get rid of him. So I think, it's just something you live with. I think overall he's still a net positive player. He's just now a role player than, our second best player like he was a few years ago. Um Actually, yeah, no, he's definitely not our second best player. I was gonna say this he might still be, but no, Jeremy Grant is definitely our second best. Nurk is probably third, maybe fourth, but yeah, he's definitely slipping down that chain. So, um, I don't think we should trade him, but I do think that it would have been nice if we got more out of him.
And honestly, I agree with you. His offensive fouls are one of the biggest issues. His finishing is another one of his biggest issues, where he just for some reason can't seem to finish around the rim.
I feel like his finishing last season was a little bit better, but maybe I'm just not remembering it properly.
I feel like it was bad. I mean,
Okay.
there's peaks and valleys. It's sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad, and that's kind of how he's been. Nurk fever. He was at the top. And everyone was so excited for him, and he was playing great. And then after he broke his leg, it kind of went away. But I do agree with you. Offensive fouls are a huge issue. He's a big guy, but he lowers his shoulder, tries to plow through players, as he's backing them down, and that's not gonna go. And I said it was a charge. It looks like he accidentally elbowed someone on his attempt at a shot. So um, it's only there's 2.5 minutes left. It's only a matter of time before he fouls out. So, but no, I don't think trading him is the right answer. I think Nurkic is a valuable center. I think he is a good player, and I think as a whole, if our team defense gets better, I think we see a lot less Nurkic foul problems. Um, I feel like when it's just one-on-one defense down low in the post, he doesn't foul often. He's a good defender in the post.
Yeah.
So to me, it just tells me it's him being out of position, trying to recover, or just being out of position in general. Whether that's being lazy or what. But another issue, something I wanted to talk about um, real quickly, and we kind of talked about it in Discord. So if you guys are listening and you're not in our Discord, make sure to join Discord because there's a lot of good conversations, and we've been trying to stream as many games as possible for the ones that can't watch it, thanks to Root Sports. But it's always just a good time to kind of be in a little voice channel and talk with people as the game's playing, and it's not constant people talking, but if something happens, everyone kind of chimes in a little bit, so that's nice. But we talked about it a little bit. Josh Hart has actually, I don't know if we talked about this part yet. Billups has decided Josh Hart's going to be the starting small forward, which was a surprise to me because I was expecting Nas to be starter. But it sounds like Little was okay with it. He agreed that he's not where he should be, and he's okay with it. So how do you feel about Josh Hart starting?
I loved it. Like you said, we expected Nas to be the starting small forward, but going into preseason, we found out it was still open. And I think after preseason, it wasn't even close. Like I think Josh Hart solidified it. Probably 2 games in. But the part that again surprised me even more was Nas's reaction, and I loved that. He said something like, "Coach, I know I'm not the same player I was back in like whatever it was, February, March." And he understood, like he has to earn it. Just because he played like that earlier doesn't mean he's guaranteed that spot now. So I love that reaction. It shows maturity. It shows that he's willing. He knows he needs to work, and he's willing to put in that work. So I thought that was a great sign. Before that, I was a little bit concerned about how underwhelming his preseason has been. I think that shows that he hasn't fully recovered. Even if he has physically, then your game, if you don't work on it for that long, you might take a step back. So I think my concerns regarding that have been a little put at ease, because now I think that it's not just that he's regressed. I think he's just not fully warmed up yet, and I think he can get back to that spot. When he's in midseason form. So I love the reaction or whatever. Yeah, I love the response from him, and I loved what it means for the future.
Yeah, and I agree. His preseason has been very lackluster, and it's kind of been a little worrisome. But when you do think about it, he's coming off that core surgery, trying to come back into a pretty much a new team with a lot of. I mean, the small forward position wasn't an issue last year for him. He had that locked up. So, coming back, and he's got Winslow, he's got Hart, Gary Payton. It's kind of like a little crowded backfield. He's got Sharpe, technically, could be a small forward as well. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that he's dealing with right now, and I think mentally he might be struggling a little bit. And just as time goes on, he might get better. Or hopefully he gets better if that is the issue. And we see, the Little we're used to. But I'm gonna put it this way. Tonight has been ugly for him defensively. There's been a couple miscommunications on defense. There's been at least that I can remember off the top of my head so far, 2 backdoor cutters where he's not even paying attention and the guy just cuts off. The guy he's guarding just cuts behind him and gets an easy layup. So red flags are starting to be unsheathed from my little quiver I got of flags, because I'm getting a little worried here. I know it's preseason. I'm trying not to put a lot into it, but I mean, we don't even, in my opinion, we don't even look good. We're struggling.
We don't. It's just a fact.
Yeah, the Kings completely just. You would have thought we were playing the Warriors in the finals. Like, I mean, they were hitting every single three they wanted. Every three was pretty much wide open.
Our boy Keegan Murray played so good.
Jeez, Keegan Murray is gonna be a beast. I'm still saying I think he's gonna be rookie
100%.
of the year.
I put money on it.
He looked great. Yep. But anyways, Nasir, I like you said, I appreciate his response to the issues. The benching. I mean, it's not benching because he's still playing, but just not starting. And that's what you want in a teammate. You want someone that just wants to win and doesn't care if he's starting or sitting, or he just wants to win. And as time goes on, he'll get better. He'll feel better and trust himself more, and he'll be a good asset to have. Is there anything you want to talk about with Sharpe? I know we've seen a little bit from him.
Yeah,
I know we saw a lot from that one game, but go ahead and tell me how you feel about Sharpe.
I was just going to bring that up. I think the last time we recorded was before that one game where he had, I don't know, what was it, 27, 29, something like that?
27.
I saw the first half of that game. I didn't see the whole game, but I loved what I was seeing. Most surprising thing to me was his ability to drive. He was, driving to the rim at will. He was getting whatever he wanted, and he was finishing well too. So that surprised me the most. I thought he was mostly a jump shooter. he was hitting his jump shots too. So it was just that he had a more, I guess, more diverse skill set, or a tool set than I expected, which was good to see. And he was hitting difficult shots, making difficult drives. So he is raw, but I think he might be a little bit more developed than we might have expected. Even today has been pretty decent so far, numbers wise.
Yeah, I the reaction after that game from a lot of people that I saw was just like overblown and just, oh my god, he's so great and he's gonna just he needs to be starting, and just the craziest things you could see. And it's like everybody pump the brakes. They were playing a far less superior team. Pretty much any player could get anything they wanted. It was great to see that he could do all that and that he was comfortable doing all that. His pull-up jump shots were, he was knocking them down. I think he was like 12 or 15 or something like that. So he shot
something crazy.
extremely well. But when we drafted him, we all know we kind of were all like, what the hell are we doing? And then as he got hurt, we were like, oh geez, here we go. We're gonna have another injured player. So far in this preseason, even with a little bit we've seen, I've liked what I've seen. I've been, I don't want to say surprised, but it's promising what we've seen. I think his, how everyone says his ceiling was so high. I think some of them called him the Canadian Kobe or something like that. I mean, I won't go to that extreme, but you can see that there's definitely a ceiling that's higher than some players. To me, in my opinion, just from what I've seen, I feel like his ceiling already is higher than what we thought Ants could be. I don't know if that's how you feel.
I
But
think
like the expectations that when we drafted Ant, I don't think when we drafted him we expected him to be as good as he is right now.
I feel like
Maybe we did.
O'Shea and Dane were hyping him up from day one.
Yeah, I mean that's true. But I think Sharpe has the intangibles. He's got the long wingspan. He's taller. He's bigger than Simon, so he's already kind of got that little head start in where he could be. And he's got the athletic, gifts just like Simon's does. But it's all about staying healthy. It's all about developing and staying committed. And you may not get a lot of playing time this year, but just kind of you got to pull the CJ and just have that mindset of my game is when we're practicing before the game, and then shoot around. That's my game, and just get yourself ready there and better and build on it from there. But I will say this: I know I was a little iffy on it, but I've liked what I've seen, and I hope it continues. And I hope he's a player that for many years to come can be an all-star, or at least a very, very good contributor to our team. And it is halftime. We're down
12.
68-56.
Yep.
So once again, ugly. Nurkic. Oh no, I thought Nurkic fouled out there. Nurkic has 14 free throw attempts this game so far.
He hit 12, which
12
is
for 14,
which is pretty good.
Jeez. But here's something I think we both kind of wanted to talk about, and I think that's probably where we'll end after this. Chauncey Billups. There's a lot of people right now with very little faith in Chauncey Billups. Here's my one thing I wanted to talk about for sure, and I'm glad I remembered this because I'd be mad if I forgot. Something I've noticed, and this could just be because Dame was hurt last year, and he's coming back off of an injury this year, but I do not like Chauncey's plan of turning Damian Lillard. This is gonna sound crazy, trying to turn Lillard into Steph Curry and running him off screen after screen after screen, and trying to get him open and trying to get him to be a catch and shoot. I feel like he struggled last year, and maybe that was because he was hurt, and he's kind of struggled this offseason or this preseason.
Yeah, and even
To me, I'm not a fan of
even
it.
Stotts tried that either his last year or second last year. He tried to make Dame a little bit more off ball, and I feel like that didn't work well either. So I think at this point, it's time to give up on that experiment.
Yeah, I mean, Lillard's been in the league for what?
10, 11 years?
10 years, I think. 10, 11, yeah. You can't change him now. Like, I mean, he's still a very effective player. He's do what he's been doing to make him who he is, and that's having the ball in his hand. deciding what happens from there. And I don't mean he has to do that every play. I don't mean we have to have every play has to run through Lillard, but to me, his off-ball cutting and going off screens, he's struggling more with that than if he just had the ball in his hand and was making decisions. So to me, that's my biggest issue. And I think there's people that are saying, Lillard's on his decline right now and he's not going to be any better and I don't necessarily think that's true. I just think he's struggling with this role, this offensive scheme that they're trying to put with him. And I think we need to really look into it as a team if that's really what they're doing. How do you feel about Lillard running off ball and trying to be a catch and shooter
Yeah,
more?
I get the idea, you're trying to diversify our offense. Um, it was pretty repetitive before. I get the idea in theory. I just don't think it has worked, and I don't think it's been improving at all either. I don't know if it's
Hmm.
worth, continuing to try. It's possible, maybe like 20 games into the season, it finally clicks and, it makes us better, but I don't know if we can afford to continue, trying that out for that long. I think let's just go back to, playing to our strengths. I think KG talked about it when he was on a few weeks ago. Chauncey has. I don't want to say he hasn't shown it, but he hasn't shown it yet. That playing to his players' strengths, which is something Stotts
Yeah.
was really good at. Chauncey seems like he has a system and he's trying to fit the players to it rather than
Yeah.
fitting his system to the players. Um, but again, a lot of people think Chauncey's probably the worst coach in the league right now. I think that's a little too far. I think he still hasn't had enough time with a healthy and good roster. Um, so I think, jury's still out on him, but they're close to their decision. So I'm still, giving him a chance, but it's not looking good. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. There's nothing really that I've been impressed by it from what I've seen. But it's also, again, too early to definitively say he's a bad coach. I think he needs a little bit more time. I just hope that by the end of that time, he will have worked it out. So,
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. I mean, what coach could do better than what? I mean, let me rephrase this. What coach could have done a better job if they didn't rest players like we did last year with the roster that we had? I mean, you're missing your best player, you trade away your second best player, you have multiple, you have Nosco, go down with an injury, you have the absolute worst player in the NBA, two of the worst players on the NBA on the end of your bench, and Blevins and Ellaby, and you're playing Ellaby. Correct me if I'm
starting
wrong. Did
Ellaby.
we start
Yeah,
Ellaby?
at least a couple
Yeah.
times.
Okay. Like there's not a coach in this world that could have made that work. So for people to be like, "Oh, last year was so bad, and Billups couldn't do this, and then this year, this preseason's been so bad," it's like you got to give him a little bit of time. He's got to have a chance. He's gonna have a healthy Dame. He's gonna have a healthy Nurk and a healthy Grant, and give him a chance. After this year, maybe 50, 60 games into the season, if things really are looking terrible and things haven't improved, as the season goes on, then you can start being like, oh, something's not right here, because for a first time rookie coach to come into the situation he came into, I would not expect anything more than what we got last year. Uh, there, and if you did expect anything more, then that's unfortunately on you, because it was ugly from the get go, and we kind of knew it as the season continued. I mean, we've done the same thing the past 4 or 5 years with the same roster, trying to just get over the hump, and then you deal with injuries on top of that. It's just he was doomed from the get go. It would be hard to be a coach and have your fan base be like, "Nah, you're suck. You can't coach, and this is a bad choice." And I don't know. Back when they were trying to make those coaching decisions, they had Becky Hammond, they had Mike D'Antoni, and they had Chauncey. Those were the three that were being interviewed. Do you think either one of those two would have made a difference last year? because I don't think I don't think it would have been any different last
the
year.
purpose was, or halfway through the season, the purpose became to lose. So I think
That's true. So he did a damn good job of that.
doing good just wasn't like that's not a metric we should be evaluating him by.
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to say it was the Trailcasters were talking about Becky Hammon, and they were talking about how she's like the perfect person to be in the WNBA, not because she's a woman or anything like that, but she, if she goes to the WNBA like she did, she wins a championship and then still decides to leave and come back to the NBA, that just completely crushes the WNBA. I mean, that if your biggest and best coach is winning a championship and still leaving to go coach in the NBA, I mean, that would kill. So I'm glad Becky Hammon's there and doing good, but I don't think she would have made a difference here. And I honestly, when those three coaches were out there, I kind of like the idea of Becky Hammon. But I wouldn't want her now. Not that she's not a good coach, but it wouldn't be any different. And then we'd all be hating on Becky Hammon. And then if God forbid if she comes to the NBA and she can't coach here and she has a bad team and she loses and everyone's like, oh, she's terrible coach. Like you're just in a lose-lose situation, I feel like. So me personally, I have no issue with Chauncey Billups right now. I feel like need to change, but we have to give him time. We can't just give him half a season of. I wouldn't even say it was half a season, a quarter of the season of Lillard, and then expect him to have a winning record and a good team. It was doomed from the get go, in my opinion. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. So for me, I think to judge a coach, you need, I'd say, about 60 games, and then he had just under 30 with Dame last year. And I think everything after that, the clock stopped, and that didn't count. So I think, I'm giving him 30 more games to fill out that 60 this season. After that, if he still hasn't shown, or rather, if the team hasn't shown any improvement, then I think I might be like, okay, he might not be the best guy. And it's also worth considering, I think, in our rotation for this season, how many guys were on the team last season? Or how many guys were on the team at the start of last season? There's Dame, Simon, Nurk, and I think that's it. Grant is new. Hart came at the end. Gary Payton's new. Yeah, I think it is just Dame, Ant, and Nurk. So most of the rotation is
and little.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay. So half the rotation, which is still a lot. But
yeah, I mean it's a huge thing, and then I'll throw on top that Lillard's never really played minutes with Ant, so you throw that in there. You throw in the fact that,
and even those
Lillard's never played with Hart, never played with Winslow. I don't even think he would have. Yeah, I mean it's just there's so many different factors that come into
and
it.
even those 30 games last year, or like 29, I think it was. Yeah, 29. That was with an injured Lillard. So even those are like a full games. So it's just I don't think there's enough evidence yet.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom. I know usually I'm more on the optimistic side until I can see things, but I mean we've seen preseason and it's not looked very promising so far, and things could certainly change. I'm not saying the season is lost and we're screwed and it's over with already, but let's just say I'm less enthusiastic than I was when we were getting ready for the preseason. Put it that way. And that number one pick sure looks pretty nice right now. I don't know if anyone has not seen Victor, and I'm not even gonna try to say his last name because I'm gonna mess it
Yeah,
up.
I struggle with it too.
But that boy is
Nice.
This is what's funny too, is he kind of has a body type like Chet, but he's definitely bigger than Chet. I feel
Yeah, I
like
think he's a little bit bigger, a little bit more built.
it's just weird. I don't have the same concerns as I did with Chet. Like there was no way in hell I would have, if I was the Blazers, would have picked Chet. Like there's no way. I was like, that's the guy. He's just gonna get hurt. He's so thin. Victor is thin and he's long. Oh my god, he's so long. He is 7'3".
8-foot wingspan, which is like crazy.
he stood next to Gobert and made Gobert look like just like an average person. Like it was insane. It's just mind blowing, and he's gonna be. I feel like he is gonna be the next. Like he's gonna be damn good. Like just the little bit I've seen from him, whoever ends up getting him, whoever has the first pick, I'm gonna tell you right now, is not trading that pick for nobody because that guy looks. Remember the hype when LeBron came in? Like that guy, that's the kind of hype I feel like is we're gonna have with him. He is crazy,
Yeah,
crazy athletic, crazy
I've been
good.
hearing about him for I don't know 3 years now, but I never actually watched that much of him. I just heard that there's this kid in France who's like crazy long. When he had those 2 G League games against the G League, he's not actually part of the G League. The things I saw a 7'4" guy do, I was speechless. I still am. Like you shouldn't be
Yeah.
allowed to be that tall and do fadeaways. That's who's stopping that? Even Giannis is gonna have
Pull
difficulty
up
with that.
threes. Yeah, everything. And hey, let's give a little shout out to someone with a badass name and Scoot. He's probably gonna be the second pick, and that's a badass name, so I'd pick him just for that. But yeah, Victor, he's gonna be a problem, and I would love for him to be our problem. So go ahead and if we have to, maybe I'm on the tank for Victor already.
I know a lot of
No,
teams are.
I'm just kidding. I'm not on that one.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Definitely not.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
Nope. I think when this episode comes out, there will be 1 week exactly until our first game. Let's hope that's a productive week in the practice facility.
Yes. You just reminded me when you said that. We're wanting to do a
Oh, right.
listener podcast again. So if that is something that interests you and you're still listening at this late of time, because I feel like now it's gone a little bit longer than I expected, let us know. We're going to put out some info on it to kind of get everyone's opinions. But if you're listening right now and you want to take part in this listener special that we're going to have again, it's always fun. It's always enjoyable to talk with everybody and get everybody on the podcast and talk together. So if that's something that interests you, if you're on the fence, take the jump. I promise you it's fun. It's a good time. It's not as scary as you think it is. And we hope to have a couple people in here. Anything else, Fawad?
No, I think that about wraps it up.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Once again, if you haven't joined our Discord yet and you're still listening, get in on that Discord. You're missing out on a lot of fun action. Other than that, I hope you guys have a good day, a good night, wherever you're listening. Enjoy it. As always, Rip City, baby. Thanks to My Life Pursuing for the music used on the intros and the outros of this podcast. You can check them out on all major streaming platforms at My Life Pursuing.